Hello there and welcome back. Today we discuss about my method of recording. Since I got the Model 1 that doesn't have direct out, I had to kinda change my workflow. So I end up to start recording just the stereo out. So basically all of my instrument goes inside the Model 1 and what I record is my performance. This of course brings a lot of limitation and somehow I really enjoy to embrace that part. I like to just create my song, perform, go along with it and record a full track and then have little as possible post-production on the computer. I use some trick though to have some sort of versatility. So I want to show you guys how I create something quickly and then we'll see on the computer what are the further steps that I can take. So right now I have a sequence going on, the Vermona, the Theorate, and the Avalon will go inside the Octatrack. Octatrack is gonna be in my first track. Then on channel 2, I have the return from the microcosm and rooms that you can hear right now. It is this sort of cinematic thing. I have on track 5 the reverb and the delay on track 6. And that's what I'm gonna use for this performance. So the first issue that I encounter is like, I like to use heavily effects. I like to use reverb a lot and delay. That means that I need to be mindful on the levels and how I'm using them because I might do a nice performance and then there's too much reverb or the delay wasn't nicely synced and that will ruin everything. So it takes a little of practice to know when a recording is good. So sometimes I do the same take for like 4 or 5 times. No, not really, 2 or 3 times. Sometimes I'm happy at the first one. And most of the time when it's just an ambient track, I can record for more minutes than I need and then I will cut it later. When there's drums involved, I use some further technique to have the chance to do some editing if I need. So, I have right now some track going on. I will use just a kick. Oh, it's heavily distorting. What's happening here? Oh, that's it. It was my auto that was distorting. So whatever enters in the Octatrack, it goes inside the auto and it kind of glues things together. But I like to use it very little, otherwise it might be hard. I like to add some compression on the master bus later on in post-production. That's the only things I had. So I'd say let's try, I will record a quick evolution of things and then we'll see what happened. As usual, all random. Let's hope it will sound good. Let's go. So I'm trying constantly to manage all the volume because what I'm hearing in my headphones is basically the final product. So it's all about trying to keep everything tamed. Now for the sake of this video, we're gonna make this shorter otherwise. So let's go to a closer. So, let's say this sounds good enough for me. And of course, it wasn't a complete performance, it's just an idea of what I'm doing. The second step, once I recorded and I have a few takes that I think I like, I will record being in the same track, so I never stop the computer that is keep recording, and it's not synced actually. I just put the BPM, I know it's 100, so I put 100 there. Right now, I would go and record the single instrument, just to have a reference if I want to do some editing later on. And when I use drums, sometimes I just record all the parts and then recompose the performance that I did. I don't do that a lot, but it's definitely useful. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just start the sequence again, and I will record the part singularly. So maybe I start with the bass. So in this case, I have to decide, do I want to keep the effects or should I just go with a cleaner version? And that really depends on you. In this case, I have this sound that I kind of like, and I can keep it. So I can do a few bars of this while the computer is, I know that is still recording, so I can do some work with the filter. So I have different way to choose later on. When I'm done, I'm just killing the volume and I go to the other. There's some sample going on, that was it. So again. So this is our bass. I can add some this is a nice sound. This is a good way also to create samples. So to have something that I can use actually in different tracks. So this is one, then I go to the second voice. If you want to have the right attack, I can stop and then start. Of course, then back in the computer, I will have to resync everything, but I know that, it's gonna be easy because it's all on grid. So even in this case, I will record I will find the sound that I like more, and so on. I can also record the tail of and have this long tail that I can use for transition. And then next track. Of course, in this way I will have more versatility later on. But what is gonna miss is the element of performance and the filter and how I can use the effects, the reverb, the delay on the mixer. So I definitely prefer to go with the performance way, like having just the stereo. But for now we record all the single elements so we can play a little later with the computer. Then we can record the kick. Okay, first let's record this ambient texture. And then let's introduce the kick. The reverb comes from the event type space, so I like to have a little, I like to drench every sound in reverb. And I also like the sound of the Benny dub on most of these tracks, so sometimes I filter out the low end and push the high end, and it creates this interesting percussion sound. Then I will go with my 303. For the 303, since it's heavily rely on the filter, I like to play with it a little. I like to find a sound playing with the reverb and delay. And that's it. So basically right now I have all the elements that were in the full performance separate, all recorded in a long stereo recording on the computer. At this point, I will have generally 2 or 3 takes plus all the single elements. So now we go on the computer and we'll see what we can do with that and the further steps.
So now we are into the DAW, in this case it's Ableton. As you can see, this is the full recording that we did before. We have the first part that is the performance and then all the single part down here. So let's hear how it sounds. It sounds pretty good to me. I mean, everything sounds pretty balanced. It needs, of course, some fine tuning, maybe some EQ, and then I usually would work on the master channel and add some mastering effect, and I'll show you what. So let's say we won't go through the EQ process, but I usually sometimes just cut the low frequency, tighten the things up. Let's cut it. So with zooming in, we can do some like shape like this. And then I have some mastering chain that I keep using, and mostly are made by UAD plugin because I'm using an Apollo sound card, so I have a lot of UAD plugins that I really like. This is usually my mastering chain. I'll show my secrets. So I won't go through the gain staging because we don't care about that. Of course we do, but whatever. We have we keep saying we. I put the mono utility at the beginning. This is the utility that you can find in audio effects utilities. And I like to put the bass mono, usually starting from 160 hertz or so, So the bass, especially when it's danceable or it's like it has a kick, I like to keep the lower end tight. So that's the first step. And full disclosure, I'm not a mastering engineer, but I master a lot of the tracks that I release, not when I release on vinyl or on physical support. Then it's when I really want to have a professional taking care of that. But since I release a lot of stuff continuously, I love to do the mastering process by myself. Also because I use it more of I want to give the track a certain tone. So to me, it's another tool that I can use to shape my track. The first step is the UAD, Dangerous Bass EQ. It's very subtle, but as you can hear, the way I'm using it is give some beef to the bass. I just cut here at 12 kilohertz, that 12, whatever it is, that, who knows. Then I push the bass at 74. Usually it's just like a couple of notches, and I push a couple of notches here on the high shelf and cut over 70 kilohertz. I guess you guys really like my scientific approach, and I like to make all the mastering engineers angry. But anyway, I study a lot of stuff, so I know what I'm doing. Second step is my favorite compressor ever, and it would be my dream compressor to have in real life. It's the Shadow Hill Industries mastering compressor. This is made by two compressor in one. It's one optical and a discrete compressor. So you can start working one by one. This window, this VCA meter, it's the optical right now. So as you can see, the more you push the threshold, the more it works. I usually just make it oscillated between 0 and -1 dB, and then I recuperate. I get back the optical, the gain, and then I turn on the discrete. Same, I always check that it's very little. I don't go very surgical right now because it's just showing what I'm doing, and as you can hear, it gives this nice glowing and this nice sort of pumping effect that I really like. Third step is the Ampex ATR, and this gives a little saturation, tape saturation. It's an emulator of a tape machine. Then the Manley Massive Passive, that really opens up the mix. I like. Of course, it push also the gain, so that is something that you would have to manage, but whatever, we won't do it now. I always start with this preset that I did, and then I tweak. Then I have the Culture Volter that sometimes had some distortion. It doesn't feel that I want to use it now. And the last step is gonna be my limiter, and I'll tone it down the gain, otherwise. And I really like the Fab Filter Pro L. So, of course, since this is a stereo recording, this would need a certain time to really shape the sound, and since we didn't have the chance to go through all the singular part, I spend a little more time in crafting the sound and like EQing and cleaning up as much as I can. I always like to have an organic sound, and if there's imperfection, I'm happy with that. So, and this could be almost the final product. And considering that coming from just a recording, just from the mixer, it sounds pretty good to me. So this would be the best case scenario when I recorded a good performance. I'm happy with it. I'll save, done. And that would take very little time and make me very happy. In the case that I'm not satisfied, then I have all the singular part recorded. So we have here the bass, the cleaner bass, that plucky sound. This is the kick. And this is the 303. So what I'm gonna do is like cut every single part, and I will have to put it on grid. So as you can see, it wasn't really on grid because Ableton wasn't synced with the Octatrack. So it became pretty simple to me. Now I know, and you match the transient to the grid and then cut everything, and then I create a stacking situation like this. So right now I separated all the parts of it. I renamed it, and I keep this beautiful yellow green pea thing color that is very ugly, and this is the sound of it. So, in one way, if I would have recorded this with a mixer that has direct out, would have been easier, right? Because I do my performance, I'll have all the tracks separated with the performance, and yeah, I completely agree that that could be for someone the best way to proceed. I always, though, prefer to embrace the limit of the setup that I have, and whenever I record all these parts separately, somehow I have to commit to the sound already, so I can shape a little with my mixer, with effects, with the Octatrack effect, and what it came out, I find out that it's always sound better than if I would record this separately, even using the 8-in of the Apollo, because I could just send all of my instrument there. So in this case, you're listening through the mastering device, and sometimes I mix with some mastering going on because it gives me already the feeling of the track, but there's no effects going on the thing. There's just the EQ that's cut at 30 hertz. At 30 kilohertz. So right now this sounds pretty good to me, and it could be, since the other track was just a quick performance that I did just to show off the process, I kind of like the sounds that we got, and this could be a good starting point. I can now prepare a arrangement, add some other synth with anything that I have, and this could be the start of the song. If you guys are interested in this process, please let me know in the comment, and maybe on a future video I can start from these and we can build together a track and see where this leads to. But I like this sound. I really like it. Well, I think that this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the enjoyed this video, and yeah, feel free to share this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you next week, and thank you very much for your support. Ciao.